Hey everyone, Jamie here. This morning I want to talk about how if we don't choose for ourselves what we are going to focus on, if we do not choose for ourselves what it is that we're going to give our attention to, what it is that is our personal top priority, I promise you, there's nothing that is more guaranteed than this. And that is that if you don't consciously, intentionally choose for yourself, everything and everyone outside of you will be competing for your attention and telling you what's important. What I mean by that is that everything and everyone around you, the news, the world, will tell you this is what is urgent. This is what is an emergency. This is what you should be upset about or appalled about. This is what demands your attention right now. You will have family or friends or community members saying, this is what I want from you. And if you are simply running on autopilot, if you are simply reacting to what is unfolding around you, what matters to you will fall. It will disappear. It will fall away. It won't. If you don't personally prioritize it, if you don't personally decide, wow, okay, that just, that's unfolding in front of me, but this is what I'm choosing to believe. This is what I'm choosing to give my energy to. I'm going to give you a couple of examples because literally yesterday I lost part of my day to this. So I will literally give you an example of how I struggled with this yesterday, and then how I ultimately came around to the other side. So I was scrolling social media, and I saw a video of like a real person berating and just being so rude, so disrespectful, talking over this other person, treating them absolutely horribly. Not physically violent, but taunting someone, baiting them, picking a fight. They were picking a fight. It was a real person. Like, I'm a very empathic person. I'm very aware of when it's like fake, And so for a dozen reasons about what's happening in the video, like, you can just see that someone was in a public place doing public interview, and then this experience happened. And I got, as an empath, as someone who is a highly sensitive person, like, I was so disturbed by this video. And then there were actually like multiple parts to it. And so I watched I watched it unfold over multiple videos. And I was so disgusted by this person's behavior. I was so, it was a woman, so that made it worse because I'm a woman. So, like, I think just like you naturally are kind of like, oh, like, don't be like that. That does not represent all women. Like, oh, like, I was so bothered by it. I was genuinely affected by that. I hated everything about it. It was so disturbing. It was so disrespectful. I will just tell you, it was a woman and how she was like treating a man. All I could think of was like I have a son, and so I was just thinking, I think in that moment I also put my son in that position and just thinking about like how this person was being treated. It was absolutely abusive. It was emotionally and mentally abusive. It was toxic. It was terrible. And I fucking hated it. And here's what happened. I literally went and thought, what's the point? I fucking hate people. I cannot believe that people like this exist in this world, and I hate that people like this exist in the world. And why bother? I just don't want to leave my house ever again because there are literally deranged people like this out in the world who emotionally unstable, mentally unstable people like this out in the world. And I just can't. That's how I felt yesterday. I got so angry and so upset for the way that an actual human was treating another actual human, like in front of my face. Like, I might as well have like physically been there. If I had physically been there, I would not have to. And that's the point, guys. It triggered things inside of me that aren't completely healed. That's why I had such a big reaction to it. Because for my whole life, I didn't stand up for myself. I would be like in this freeze mode. And so now in my 40s and after doing a lot of healing work, I would be in fight mode in that scenario. And that was kind of how I was feeling. It was almost like this man was just sort of taking it, and he was not escalating the situation at all. And that's part of why it just felt so abusive, because this woman just kept going. And no matter what he said, it didn't matter. And she had gone into that situation, mind made up. This was just how it was. And like, it just, honestly, outside of like rapists and murderers and pedophiles and things like that, right? Like, outside of the whole, terrorists, like, outside of that, this is the worst kind of person. Like, I know it would be like weird for me to categorize this type of person like with terrorists, rapists, and murderers, but they're just like one rung above them in my books, like literally. So I'm in fight mode, like watching this unfold, but there's nothing I can do about it because it's like a video. And I think that it really deeply affected me in a way that it shouldn't have. But because it was triggering something that I've been healing, but I'm not completely healed around. And so, yeah, it was like, it took me out part of the day. Like, I like came home and I like was crying about, like, I literally had like a massive, like, it was almost like re-traumatizing. Um, and so this is like, again, one of those scenarios where it really impacted how I felt about the world in the moment, right? In the moment, I became, my fight or flight was triggered, and I had to process all this shit and all these emotions that were coming up within me. And in that moment, I did not hold my ground in that moment. I wasn't like, oh, like, that's not the kind of person that's not the kind of person that is in my world. Like, that is way below my standards. I have no tolerance for it, whatever. Like, I was kind of like frozen in that moment, watching it unfold, seeing like what happened, and just like, oh, like hating that. Like, yeah, like really being bothered in that moment. And so what I'm saying is, that's not how I want to be in this world. That is not how I want to live my life. I don't want to go out and then give my power away like that. I don't want to go out in the world, witness something, and then have it impact how I feel about the world. I want to be a beacon of light. I want to be that lighthouse, shining my light bright for ships to find safety in the middle of a storm, right? Like, I want to be that person that's like, listen, there's shit that's happening out in the world, but we know not to give it our attention, right? Like, that's who I want to be, and that's who I strive to be. But in that moment, evil won. Hatred won. I was feeling so much hatred in that moment. I was so upset in that moment. I was so angry in that moment. And so I did recover, but it took me, it took me minutes, not days. I've been in a place in my life where it was days or weeks. And I know people that, I've been in a place where something has brought me down for months, for sure. So I was able to recover quickly because of the work I've already done in my life in this way. Hold on a second. Alexa, what time is it?
Good morning, Jamie. It's 7:08 a.m.
Shit. I have an alarm that's about to go off. So I'll wrap this up as part 1, and I'll come back and make a part 2. So stay tuned for part 2.